Blacktitude 101 says, please, no Earl today. Earl is a human gnat. Gnat. It's spelled with a G, right? Kind of like no in Andy No. And he puts triple thumbs down. Earl, you get 3 thumbs down. From Blacktitude 101. Interesting. Appreciate it. What's up, everybody? It is Monday, November 30th, 2020. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. November only has 30 days. December has 31. Did you know that? So this is the last of the month. And I will be getting to your calls, 888-775-3773. Everything sounding good? Press 1 if it's all looking and sounding good. Press 2 if it's awful. Press 3 if it's a little spotty. Of course, if it's awful, you probably don't even hear this. But I'm going to be talking about they're liars. They're all liars. Fauci, well, I don't want to bash Fauci too much because he's on Trump's team a little bit, but he's like pro-Hillary. He's a pro-Hillary simp. Pathetic. And LA Slimes, Twitter, Facebook, Zuckerberg. Shenanigans, I read to you Shenanigans in the eye of a pollster. Hope that went across well. It was very interesting when I read that Twitter thread, which was recounting quotes from a pollster over in, who wrote in spectator.us. Supposedly like a conservative-ish, maybe sort of establishment magazine. Conservative magazine. Congratulations to Jake Paul versus Nate Robinson, huh? There was a YouTuber, very famous, white little brother of a very famous YouTuber. And that very famous YouTuber, wasn't it Logan Paul who beat the black kid? Or was it Jake Paul who fought months back?
Yeah, he fought as well.
Yeah. I don't know if he won either, actually. But right on. Jake Paul, nice. And Mike Tyson fought against Roy Jones. I didn't watch these, but I did see the knockout of the black guy, the younger black guy, former NBA player, 36 years old versus a 23-year-old whippersnapper, white guy, not a kid. But it's interesting. It was a brutal punch out, and I'm not going to show it because it's that brutal. Men's Forum this Thursday. I didn't get to mention that in Hake News of today. I was all thrown off. My timing was completely off today on Hake News of the Jesse Lee Peterson show. But Trump is still fighting right onto him. Was he influenced or his team influenced by Tucker Carlson to distance themselves from Sidney Powell, the great Sidney Powell? If any woman is great. I think she's great. Or am I assume? But President Trump still is retweeting stuff about her, or has been, even after they so-called distanced themselves from her. I say so-called. They really did distance themselves from her. But anyway, I have all that and more. I would like to touch on this. There's all this stuff going on with anti-Semitism and the death of this Iranian nuclear scientist, father of the nuclear bomb over in Iran, who was assassinated by somebody. Maybe Mossad, which is the Israeli Secret Service, right? And with Trump's blessing, perhaps, likely, right? And other things with regard to Palestine. And there are some crazy France riots, too, by the way. They're just a side note. But anyway, let's get on with the show.
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La, la, la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La, la, la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La, la la.
So, what's up, everybody? I just pulled a, now you know that I've made it. I just pulled a dead air moment, right? Or few, or several. Sorry about that, guys. Roy was out of shape, says Brandon Johnson, regarding the Roy Jones Jr. thing, who is 51 years old. If he's out of shape, I'd hate for you to see me. But yeah, it was interesting, or for some people found it interesting. Quickly, guys, how long was I gone? How long was that dead time? 2 minutes? 3 minutes? I'm going to have to cut that out for the podcast people, because the podcast people are going to be completely confused. And they have probably less patience even than the suspense accepting live stream viewers, everybody. So let me read to you this quote about LIARS. Matthew Tyrmand. Matthew Tyrmand on Twitter. He tweeted this meme. Shared a meme showing a man. I presume that the man pictured in this meme is or was Alexander Isayevich. I don't know how to say that. Solzhenitsyn. Am I pronouncing that right? Solzhenitsyn? I've heard that name before. We had one caller who used to call into the Jesse Lee Peterson show, and he seemed to read on air, but he would reference this guy. That was probably the first time I heard this guy's name. I think, hasn't that one guy who's got on drugs, and I was calling him a liberal, but he was a little bit sensible, telling people to clean their rooms and stuff and be responsible. Jordan B. Peterson, who's been on the Jesse Lee Peterson show, I think he's referenced this Solzhenitsyn guy. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly again. But he showed him, and that guy is supposedly like a wise person, I gather, from Russia, I think. From Russia. And here are the words in the meme. They read, "We know they are lying. They know they are lying. They know that we know they are lying. We know that they know that we know that they are lying. But they are still lying." And I don't know if that's a direct quote from Alexander Isayevich Solzhenitsyn. I don't even know if that man spoke English. But this was the meme shared by Matthew Tyrmand on Twitter, and he says that it applies to Soviet communism just as well as it applies to what is being wrought by big media, big tech, and the institutional left right now, today. And I would add the rhinos, too. I guess that is part of the institutional left, right? Enemies of America. And you know what? This has been going on. It happened with Clinton. Clinton was a known liar. He was known to be a liar, Bill Clinton. And we knew it with, honestly, maybe even that sucker, the daddy, Bush the daddy, who said, read my lips, no new taxes. And then he raised taxes. And we knew it with Obama. Obama was a huge, known, shameless liar and a troll. He was a troll in the sense that he enjoyed, kind of like Maze, who calls into the show, he enjoyed being really evil. He took delight in making the right-wingers mad. He just utterly mocked and disrespected the Tea Party. The Tea Party, who actually still kind of exists to this day. The Tea Party did not like Obama's lies. And the government's out of control spending on stupid stuff. And all of that stuff. The Tea Party. And yeah, there was some subversion within the Tea Party, right? A bunch of phonies and rhinos getting in there. Grifters, as some of you guys call them. But Barack is like, you would think they'd be thanking me. He said that about the Tea Party because they were protesting one dumb thing or other that he did, evil thing or other that he did. But he was a shameless liar. And now, they're blatantly lying. They're calling, and, other people have pointed this out too. Joe Biden, president-elect. But he's not president-elect. There is no consensus that, except among the mainstream people who hate the president. I say mainstream, but they just have the big platforms, right? They control the controllers. But there is no consensus. Trump has not seceded. He has not conceded. And he is not conceited, by the way, either. If anybody's conceited, it's these people. By conceited, I mean arrogant. Full of vain conceit, right? Let me play for you this clip of Mark Zuckerberg, who wants to be everybody's mom and control you and guide the sheep boomers, because that's all who's left on on Facebook anymore, right? Exceptions to the rule. But it seems more like a boomer social media platform than anything else. Yeah, I know Instagram is a different story, and they're owned by Facebook too, but just the scum of the earth, fake book leader. He admits that they are the mainstream media. I have this clip, and I sped it up a little bit. I manipulated it a little bit just to make it faster, and it's from Axios, which is affiliated with HBO. Axios was started by the same guy who co-founded Politico or something like that. And so here is Mark Zuckerberg talking via Skype or Zoom or some interview platform with a guy from Axios, a reporter guy. Maybe he's like one of the owners. And this was weeks ago, actually, I think. Maybe even months ago, I'm not sure. But Zuckerberg talking about, we have to prep the public for a weeks-long indecision, lack of decision on who actually won these elections, including the presidency. Here's Mark Zuckerberg. Listen to this.
One of the things that I think we and other media need to start doing is preparing the American people that there's nothing illegitimate about this election taking additional days or even weeks to make sure that all the votes are counted. In fact, that might be important to make sure that this is a legitimate and fair election. So we're going to do a bunch of different messaging around that, just to make sure that people know that that's normal. So if one of the candidates in any of the races claims victory before there's a consensus result, then we're going to add some informational context to that post directly, saying that there's no consensus result yet. I think that this is important because there is, unfortunately, I think, a heightened risk of civil unrest in the period, between voting and a result being called or after that. And I just think that we need to be doing everything that we can to reduce the chances of violence or civil unrest in the wake of this election.
If that were to happen, would Facebook be blamed in part?
Well, I can't speak to what other people would do, but I think we're trying to make sure that we do our part to make sure that that none of this is organized on Facebook. And we want to make sure that none of that stuff is happening on our services. But the country is very charged right now. So I think regardless of what we do, there's some chance that this happens across the country. I just want to make sure that we do our part to not contribute to it.
What a weirdo, huh? Sicko. I never noticed that Mark Zuckerberg, I sped it up so he sounds kind of high-pitched. It wasn't trying to make fun of him. It was just I sped it up because it was like 1:45 seconds. I cut it to like 1:30. I noticed that he sounds like Richard Spencer. Have you ever noticed that? He sounds a little bit like Richard Spencer. And he sounds phony. Maybe phonier than Richard Spencer. I don't think of Spencer's sounding that phony. But maybe he is just because he's an intellectual. But this guy is fake. And it's so ridiculous. He's talking about, we don't want civil unrest to happen. Excuse me. You're the people who supported Black Lives Matter on your main platform, on your main platforms, and promoted the fake lies of Black Lives Matter, which sparked riots. They call it civil unrest. I think that's a commie word for riots, communist word for riots, because they're liars. These are sleazy people. And it's very interesting that we don't have, they run things by consensus among the liberals and the establishment. The sleazy liars. They say, oh, climate change, it's a scientific consensus, which it's not. It's not up for a consensus. It's up for true or false. And the election is not over, and that's a fact. But, even that black lady who's very famous, Candace Owens, tweeted or put on Facebook that, excuse me, the mainstream media calls Joe Biden president-elect. He is not president-elect. And they censored her because they don't want the truth to get out. They want to force people into accepting one thing before it's even reality. Because they hate Trump. Two, they have a false version of trying to unify the country around lies and around a liar. That's why they all supported Black Lives Matter, these scum of the earth corporations. He acts like this is a socialist country and he is part of the government and he's going to delude the masses into believing what he wants them to believe so that they don't start civil unrest. This reminds me of North Korea, right? Malkuth X says, Hake, you made Zuckerberg sound like a radical homosexual according to chat. Because maybe because his voice is all high-pitched. I didn't mean to do it like that. I didn't mean to do him like that. Poor guy. I actually kind of like him. Mark Zuckerberg. But whatever. We know they're lying. They know they're lying. They know that we know they're lying. We know they are lying, but they are still lying. It's so crazy. Here's another one. Fauci, Dr. Fauci. And then I will get to calls. Appreciate you guys hanging on. So I saw this. I follow Cernovich on Twitter. He's an independent journalist guy. Center left, supports Trump generally on things. He tweeted, Dr. Fauci lied about the risk of coronavirus to kids in order to keep schools closed before the presidential election. Traumatized millions of children. But these people wouldn't stuff ballots? Get real. Yeah. And Eli Klein, he actually shares a video that was shared by this person named Eli Klein on Twitter. Quoting Fauci, look at the data. Here is that clip of Dr. Fauci, very brief. It's like less than 10 seconds long, okay? Here's Dr. Fauci repeating what Trump was saying all along. And the fake media was fact-checking Trump. Listen to Fauci, Dr. Fauci.
Look at the data. The spread among children and from children is not really very big at all, not like one would have suspected.
I did not suspect that it would be big among children. President Trump had said that the young people are practically immune. They may get it and have the sniffles for 15 minutes. And Trump talks in his regular person, normal person talking. But they say, oh no, he said something that's not true. He said that they're immune and they're not. And also we need to protect the children because they're always going to be around the old people. They don't have to be around old people. Children are born to relatively young, healthy parents, usually. They don't have to be around anybody else but those parents and each other. And relatively young, healthy so-called teachers, really indoctrinators. What a shame. Actually, nowadays, many parents are indoctrinators, especially the mothers, but even some male fathers. There was a guy who Jesse Lee Peterson interviewed several years ago, when I was producer. This guy helped his young boy, he was an actor, by the way, dress up in a dress, like an 8-year-old little boy wearing a dress. Ridiculous. And he was all praised in Huffington Compost. It's crazy. But we didn't need to be closing all this stuff, and we don't need to be closing all the whole rest of the country. I showed you guys the data on survival rates of this COVID thing. According to the CDC, that was shared by Red Ice TV, about 99-point-something% of, what was it, like everybody under 65? Something like that. Surviving this thing. This is not Ebola. Remember Ebola? That was a crazy thing. Turns people like black and kills them. It's crazy. The LA Slimes was reporting on the shutdown. There's a temporary stay-at-home order effective today here in LA County. I wonder if that's county or city. Is that the county? Or is that the city? I think it's the county. Los Angeles County Department of Public Health announced new measures effective Monday, November 30th to Sunday, December 20th, banning all public and private gatherings with people outside of a single household and reducing the maximum occupancy for businesses. Comes a day after the county recorded a record high for new COVID cases and the highest number of deaths in months. Excuse me, it's a new disease. You're supposed to have a record high of deaths within like a year or 2 or 5. Am I right? Doesn't it just make sense? It's not alarming. It's not something to shut down your life over and people's freedoms and businesses. These people are the scum of the earth. They have no... And they're SJW. I covered it on Friday, I think, with Joelle Friday, who... it was a whole bunch of SJW people, like the woman who's in charge of that so-called public health in LA County, Dr. Barbara Ferrer, but she's not a medical doctor. She's a social justice doctorate. Public health, I think, is the official title of one of her degrees. and she has like community studies bachelor or something like that. And then she hired, or I don't know if she's in charge of hiring, but who was sworn in to be the public health officer. She's the public health director. Her officer is this black guy, Moontu Davis, Dr. Moontu Davis. Yeah, I'm going to listen to him. And then a whole bunch of women and one black male Democrat who betrayed the country and betrayed his own constituents to support illegal aliens instead of American citizens. Mark Ridley Thomas, male feminist, and a bunch of female people on the LA County Board of Supervisors who voted along with these public health people. Scum of the earth. And they're liars. They voted, years back to boycott the Arizona over trying to get a handle on the out of control illegal alien situation, right? But Trump is still fighting. So right on to him. I'm going to cover a little bit about interesting things with the election. Lin Yan Chin gave a diamond and said, "God bless Lord, good hair, and twinkle toes, Joelle too." Man, Lin Yan, you sure know how to make us feel small. But thank you. And thank you for the support. He says, "La la Lord a mercy. They booted Lord Good Hair." I think he was referring to responding to the dead air earlier this hour. I think I'll have to figure something out to clip it I'll clip it for the podcast. I guess the video watchers will have to suffer through it or just skip ahead. Noah's Ark, Kansas with a diamond. Thank you. And thank you to Jesse Lee Peterson hosting the Hake Report on DLive. Appreciate it. Dark Side of the Bear White gave a diamond and said, Solzhenitsyn. I don't know what that means. Lin Yan Chin says, Zuckerberg plus Spencer equals both emotionally constipated. Oh, okay. Yeah, Alexander Solzhenitsyn. That's how it's pronounced? Thank you, Dark Side of the Bear. What? I'm glad that you... he's smart. I have Chris in the studio. Thank God, right? Otherwise, Joel Friday and I would be lost. We've been like, what? Well, thank you. And thank you to the supporters on Streamlabs, streamlabs.com/The Hake Report. Let me get to Chris in Arizona. She says, well, I'll let her tell you. Chris, how are you doing?
Hi, James. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm fine as well. Thank you.
Great. Well, on Saturday, I had the honor and the privilege of meeting a great American hero, Sheriff Joe Arpaio.
Nice. That is cool. How did you meet him?
Excellent.
What was the context?
Well, how it started is I go to work the day before Thanksgiving, and we have a meeting at my job. The managers tell us what to do, and we go do it. And the manager is from Mexico, and she was having issues getting back into Mexico after work, where they're pulling her aside and asking her these questions. She's like, I've never had that issue before. It's coming back into the United States that I have my issue. And then we were talking about the border and that kind of stuff. And one of the ladies said, hey, Joe Arpaio is going to be at Tombstone Saturday. And I was like, really? I was excited. Everybody else was like, yeah. What? I didn't know. And we continued the meeting. We leave, disperse, and I'm thinking, am I able to go? I have to work that day. No, I can't go. I have to work that day. But then I was like, no, you take an extra long lunch and you go meet the guy. And I did.
Wow.
I got his book. I got a signed book, and I got you one too.
Wow, cool.
And yeah, really cool. What happened is I was really nervous to meet him, as you can imagine. And and he goes, so who is this book to? I said, it's to James Hake of the Hake Report. And he wrote your name out. And he goes, report? I said, yeah, reports. He says, spell that for me.
Oh, that's funny.
And because he wanted to, did I hear that right? And after he was going to sign the book, I was going to ask him if you could interview him, but he beat me to the punch. He pulled his card out of his pocket. He goes, "Where is this guy?" I said, "Oh, he's in Los Angeles, California." And he goes, "Oh, well, let him know that I'd love to give him an interview." And he handed me his business card.
Nice. That's cool.
And it is. And his PR person pulled me aside and said, "If you call him, he's going to answer the phone."
Okay.
Personally, he's
Nice.
going to answer the phone. So I'll send you the book with his card, and I was going to send you an email, but you don't read your emails, so.
How did you know that? Did I say that, or have you picked up on that?
You announced it on the show. I've
Okay.
never sent you an email. You've
All right.
announced it on the show, but
I'm
just
so
to
bad
say,
about that.
his book.
Yeah.
His book is brilliant. It started off with his birth, and his mother gave her life for him.
Wow. Really?
Well, the first chapter, yeah, that's actually chapter number 2. Yeah.
So that's an example of the mother or the life of the child. Thank
Correct.
God the life of the child. Thank God the child lived. Am I right? That's a great
Yes,
man.
because the only reason I know of him is because he was the sheriff of Maricopa County. I
Same
didn't
here.
know his greatness. He was actually a part of the DEA.
Yeah.
He was a part of the French Connection, and I mean, just read his book and find out what he actually did. So I'm going to mail it to you, and hopefully your listeners get his book.
Okay.
He is
What's it
amazing.
titled?
It is Sheriff Joe Arpaio, an American Legend.
Nice. That's cool. And that is true. That's what he is. Right
Yes, he
on.
is. And he's my hero.
Yeah.
He's living today. He is a present, and we can go meet him.
Yeah. Yeah, I've described him and President Trump and others as living heroes because that's what they are. That's cool.
Yes.
And he supported Trump, President Trump.
Yes, actually, the first chapter begins with Trump giving him his pardon,
Nice.
which he well deserved.
Definitely. Yeah, that was such political posturing on the part of the phony judge and the phony jury and the phony ACLU and whoever else went after him, including the well, actually, I don't know if it was exactly the LA County Board of Supervisors, including Mark Ridley Thomas or whoever. I don't know if Mark Ridley Thomas was city council or board of supervisors for the county, but they voted to boycott Arizona over their SB, what was it, 1070? The Show Me Your Papers law that he was part of supporting, as I recall, with regard to the illegal aliens, dealing with the illegals.
I don't know because I haven't dug into all that stuff. That's your job. Anyway,
Yeah.
But he goes into it further in his book, but I haven't gotten that far. I'm only like on chapter 5 or whatever.
They were accusing
So,
him
you know.
of racial profiling. And then they
Exactly,
accused him of,
yes.
which wasn't even,
Yes, they did.
For one, it wasn't even true. For two, it's just common sense to profile. And for three, like, what's even the harm? And for four, they are disproportionately the
illegal.
illegals.
That's the whole point.
Yeah.
They're illegal.
I remember
And
go on.
Oh, I was just going to say he retired from his active duty service with the United States government. And during his retirement, he decided to run for sheriff because something came up.
Okay.
And the reason he became sheriff is funny to me. He thought the sheriff did something, and he's like, that's not very fair. I'm going to run against him. He did and won.
Wow, that's cool. And he was there since the early 90s? He was there for
93,
Okay.
I think.
Several terms. And then it was an endless attack on him. And it was a false smear. And, it even had me fooled. I used to think, oh, Joe Arpaio, he's kind of ugly. And even though I knew that not to believe the liberal media, I had kind of fallen for it until I heard him on the Jesse Lee Peterson show when I was working somewhere else. And Jesse spoke highly of him, and I heard him, and I realized, hey, wait a minute, they are outright lying about decent men. So that's cool.
Yeah. He had some famous people in his Kent City jail.
Oh, yeah?
Too.
Visiting or incarcerated?
Oh, they were incarcerated. Mike Tyson, Charles Barkley,
Wow.
rapper DMX,
Nice.
Glenn Campbell, Mark Grace, baseball player for the Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on.
And his first famous arrest was Elvis Presley, though.
Oh, yeah. I remember hearing about that. Yeah, I remember
that
seeing
was
that on
hilarious.
that's on his Instagram. I remember coming across that. He pulled him over, and I think he had a woman on the maybe the bike with him. Was it on a bike?
Yeah.
Motorcycle.
A blonde. Yeah.
That's funny.
He did not book him, though.
Right.
He was released.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting, man. That's cool. You know, I have talked on the phone with him. I have called him up before. Yeah, because, you know, over the years, we've had him on the Jesse Lee Peterson show. And when he was sheriff, he invited Jesse to come check out give him a tour of what they were doing over in Maricopa County with the pink underwear and just the
pink underwear came about as an accident, too. That was pretty funny.
Oh, did they mix the colors with the, I don't know.
Some red stock got in the laundry, and then he realized that he could save the county money if he did that with all the underwear in the future.
Right. So that they don't steal it or something?
Because nobody wanted to steal it, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then they had like that cheap food that was kind of disgusting. And he saved them money like crazy. Like he was like a President Trump, a man.
Yeah.
Not emotional.
Yeah.
But we have a whole lot of people who take the side of criminals and hate the innocent, hate the decent, hate the strong, hate the men. And he was a man and is a man. That's cool. Appreciate it, Chris. Thank you for the story.
Welcome,
and thank you in advance for the book. Looking forward to seeing
welcome.
it. That's going to be fun.
All right.
I'm going to read that. Take care, Chris.
It's a fast read. It's very good. All right. You too. Bye-bye.
All right. That was cool. What's with all the commercials having black people, asks Tinobot. Black people are more entertaining. Lin Yan Chin gave a diamond and said, Ray shall profile whomever Ray wants. Ray's smart. Thank you. Interesting. Yeah, Tombstone is a city in Arizona. It's a town in southeastern Arizona known for its Wild West history. Exhibits at the courthouse, State Historic Park, Tombstone Courthouse, include a replica of gallows. That's where they hanged people. On historic Allen Seat, the OK Corral Outdoor Theater reenacts the 1881 cowboy gunfight. Resident ghosts are said to haunt the bullet-riddled Birdcage Theater. Outlaws are among the local townsfolk buried in the 1878 Boot Hill Cemetery, according to Google. Founded in 1879, Tombstone, Arizona. Man. The current mayor, his name is Dusty Escapule. Interesting, huh? Tombstone. Oh, man. So, appreciate the support, guys. I will be checking the Streamlabs as well. Streamlabs.com/The Hake Report. Let me quickly get to William in Missouri, who has a question for you and me and all of us. William, how are you doing?
Hey, Jake, what's going on?
Not much. What's going on with you?
Well, last time I talked to you, I told you it was delusional, and I didn't think you could get any worse until I just heard you speaking, and I see you just falling further away. But the question I have for you, where do you think the election is now?
I think that it is approaching completion.
Completion that is over with for Trump?
Not yet. Not yet. It
Now
is not
you
over.
Now you just amazing again. You done got to be more delusional.
How am I delusional? How am I delusional? Has President Trump conceded?
Jay.
Yes.
You standing there waiting on a bus that already ran.
I'm sitting.
You standing on the bus stop waiting on a bus that has already ran. It ran November the 3rd.
I know, but it didn't complete yet.
That bus is not running no more. Not with Trump getting off her. He's not going to get off that bus. He got off it on November 3rd.
Did you hear Mark Zuckerberg saying that it could take weeks?
Jay, it's over with. And you know it, and all the other people that's supporting Trump and trying to hang out with him. Hey,
William. Are there lawsuits related to this election going on right now? Filed?
Are there lawsuits?
Yes.
Frivolous lawsuits, and they're not going anywhere.
But there are lawsuits, right? There are lawsuits.
Look, wait a minute. Hold up just a second.
Yes.
The judges that he appointed even told him that there's no corruption, no voter fraud, and told him to get out of there. That's over with.
Those are liberal.
He appointed.
Those are liberal rhino judges. I don't care. He's appointed.
No. They was Republican judges. The judge that he appointed.
That's what rhino means.
Republican judges.
That's what rhino means. Republican in name only.
Well, why would he appoint a rhino judge?
You don't have much to work with.
Well, why was about the lady that he said was so fine? She recused herself. She didn't want to be bothered with this.
We knew she was a
rhino. She knew it wasn't going nowhere.
Because she's a woman.
It's embarrassing, man.
She's a woman, can't take pressure. As the great Jesse Lee Peterson said, she's a woman and can't take pressure.
What happened with all his lawyers? All his lawyers that walked off because they said they know we're going to get barred, man, for going up there trying to spread a lie. They're not going to stand before the judge and lie.
Lawyers are liars.
But let me just say
there are 3 lawyers who are faithful to Trump at this point: Rudy Giuliani,
let me say that.
Sidney Powell, and Jenna Ellis.
Embarrassing. He can't even keep the hair down in his head. He's embarrassing.
That's okay.
You see the hair
that's okay. He's a fighter.
Down his face. He's embarrassing.
No, it's.
The man should be in a straitjacket. Rudy Giuliani should be in a straitjacket.
That's very.
I'm telling you, the man is delusional. He's more delusional than you are. He's more delusional than you are.
That's okay.
But let me say this though. Now, Donald Trump actually.
So there are, but you admit there are lawsuits.
Wait a minute.
There are lawsuits.
He actually should have. Listen to this for a minute. Donald Trump actually should have won the election.
Thank you.
But you know why
he didn't win
the election? You know why he didn't win the election?
Did you vote for him first?
No, I didn't vote for him.
Why not?
No, I don't vote Republican. I'm Democrat.
Simp.
Yeah.
Simp.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you why.
Aren't you 50, 60, or 70 something?
Hold on just a second.
Aren't you 50, 60, or 70 something?
I'm 72.
And you're still voting Democrat? Pathetic.
Yes, I am.
You should be ashamed of yourself. You're ignorant.
And I always will.
You're ignorant.
I always will.
Ignorant.
Am I ignorant? Are you ignorant? Because you here believing that you here got a delusion going on that Trump's going to still be president. So who's ignorant?
I didn't say Trump is going to still be president. I just said it's not over yet.
It is over. It was over with. It's been over with. What you talking about?
That's only because you listen. That's only because
Biden is the elected president. If that's not over with, what is over with?
You only believe that because you're a Democrat. Kiss up to
I believe
dummies,
that because it was
and you
real.
believe the mainstream media because you're a sucker.
I believe it. I believe it just like when Trump won in 2016, it was all over with.
But Hillary didn't fight it because she knew
it was
that
all
she
over with. She didn't
knew
need
that.
to fight it. It was over with. It wasn't nothing to fight. It wasn't anything to fight.
She knew.
He won.
Hillary Clinton knew. Hold on, William. Hold on, William.
He would be gone.
I'm going to put you on hold if you don't be quiet.
You
want the Mays treatment? Hillary knew that her supporters cheated, and she still lost. So of course she had to concede. Thank you. And she's still a sore loser, by the way.
Because she lost.
Did you vote for her?
It's because she lost.
Did you vote for Hillary?
Yes, I did.
Oh my gosh! Don't admit
yes,
that.
I did.
I mean, I invited him to admit it, but you should not have admitted that, dude.
Why not?
Because it's
Why not?
embarrassing voting for a female Democrat liar, scum of the earth.
Really?
Nobody takes Hillary seriously.
Well, let me tell you something. They just
And nobody
voted for
takes
a
Joe
black
Biden
female woman
seriously.
to be vice president. They just voted for a black female a lady to be
And
president.
nobody takes
How about
Kamala
that?
Harris seriously.
How about that? How about that?
Meet me outside,
Huh?
see what happens.
What about that? Meet you outside. Ain't nothing gonna happen. Not to me, but to you. Something happened to you.
Nice.
Something happened to you.
I like
But
how
let me-
you're
let me say
pretending to
this.
be a man all of a sudden,
Let me
and
say-
yet
let me say
you're a
this
male
about Trump.
Democrat, 72-year-old. That's
Let
pathetic.
me speak to you why your president is where he's at today.
This
That's
is
all
the
the thing
guy.
I wanna
This
tell
is the
you.
guy who hates white people.
No, I don't hate white people. I'm going to tell you why he's where he's at today. He's where he's at today because he talked rhetoric just like what you talking because of his big mouth, running his mouth and lying. And the man lie every day. He's there because he lied. Because you know it's hard to
You don't
unseat
care
a
about
sitting
lies.
president.
You don't care about
Do you
lies.
know-
You don't care
Do
about
you know
lies.
it's hard?
You
Do
don't
you
care
know
about
it's hard
lies.
to
You're a
unseat
Democrat.
A sitting president.
You don't care about lies. It's not over yet. You're lying by saying that it's over. So you don't care about lies, William. And
It's
you know
not
what?
over.
I have a quote from the Bible go-to guy regarding you. Can I read it?
Read it.
More important than him being ignorant is he is immoral. Just to ask him a couple of basic morality questions. Yeah. Do you support abortion?
Do I support abortion?
Yeah.
No.
Liar, you're a Democrat. Of course you do.
No, I don't support that. So all Democrats are liars?
If they claim not to support abortion, yes, all Democrats are liars. But if they claim not to support abortion, then they're double liars because they're complete hypocrites.
No, I'm a Democrat.
Pretending to be a Christian.
I'm a Democrat, and I don't support it.
Do you support a woman's right to choose?
Yes, I do.
Then you support abortion, you liar.
No, I don't. No,
Yeah,
I
you
don't
do. It's the
support
same
abortion.
thing.
No, I don't. No,
You
it's not the
support
same
a
thing.
woman's right to kill the baby in the womb.
No, I do not support
Yes, you do.
that.
Yeah, you do.
No.
You just said a woman's right to choose. That's what that
I
means.
say it's a woman's right to do what she wants to do with her body.
How about the
That's what
baby's
I
body?
said.
Can she do it to the baby's body?
That all depends.
And are you a Christian?
That all depends. No, I'm not a Christian. Are you? And you're not either. You're not a Christian
Whatever.
because you lie too much. You're not a Christian.
Do you believe in
lie
God?
Too much.
Do you believe in
You
God?
lie too much.
William.
Yes, I do. You lie too
Oh,
much.
no,
Yes, I
you
do.
don't.
You lie too much and you got too much hate in you.
If you believed in God,
And
then you would know.
That's why your
Hold on.
president.
Hold on,
That's
William.
why your president didn't win because he got too much hate in him.
It's not done. It's
That's
not
why
done
he
yet.
didn't win.
It's
He
not done
lied
yet.
too much.
It's not over yet. But you don't believe
It
in
is
God.
over.
You believe that it's the
Okay,
woman's
you know
body.
what?
It's not her body.
You know what?
You are
When
not your
Biden-
own. The Bible says
what?
you are not your own. Your
You're
body
not
is
what?
your body is not your own to do with what you want to.
It's not.
No,
Who is it?
God's or something.
Huh?
God's.
Is a guy or something? What you mean or something?
It's not hers. That's all I
It's
know.
not. Who is it? Who body is it?
Ask God.
You can do what you want with your body, but you will be punished by the things that you do if you
Thank
do the
you.
wrong thing.
Thank
with
you.
it.
And we should punish the
you
woman
can
for,
do it.
killing the
God
baby in the
don't
womb.
stop you from doing what you want to do with your body. He doesn't stop you.
Should we stop
He doesn't
murderers
stop
from
you from doing
murdering?
anything, but
Should we
you
stop?
pay the price
Should we
later.
stop murderers from murdering
pay the
people?
price
Hey
later.
William. Hey William. Should we stop
What?
murderers from murdering people?
Should who stop them?
We, the people. Anybody.
Well, the people supposed to be stopping them is the one that's doing the murdering.
Exactly, the
All they
women.
need to-
The
all they
women.
need to
The
do is
women and the
stop murdering
doctors.
and it'll stop.
Exactly. The women and the doctors
Yeah.
are killing the babies.
Well, I'm not. I'm really not for abortion. I already said
Lin
that.
Yen.
I'm not for abortion.
I know, but you're a Democrat. You'll go with
yes,
anything.
I'm a Democrat. All Democrats are not for abortion.
Yes, they are. Lin Yen
No, they're not.
Chin gave a diamond and said, William smells low IQ and low impulse control. Do you have good self-control? At 72, do you have good self-control?
Yes, I do.
Lin Yen Chin says, your body is
I've been had self control all of my life.
Nice. That's cool.
All of my life, I've had self-control because I was taking care of myself all of my life.
Okay, well then you shouldn't vote
I raised 3 kids. And I never drew any welfare at all.
Nice. That's cool.
No type of assistance.
I respect that.
And I guarantee you, your buddy Justin Lee Peterson can't say that because if he does, he's lying.
Okay, so Lin Yen Chin gave a diamond and said, "Your body is the temple of God. Respect it, we must." So there's your answer. Are you like a Muslim or something?
That's your answer.
Are you a Muslim?
No, I'm a black activist.
I'm not laughing with you. I'm laughing at you.
I'm a black activist. I'm a black solo activist.
All right.
That's what I am. Now what are you?
What part of Missouri are you in?
What are you? I'm in Kansas City, Missouri. What are you?
I'm a white activist.
Huh?
I'm a white activist.
Okay, you're a white activist. So you're a white activist, but I shouldn't be a black activist. That's what you're saying?
No, you should just not be a Democrat, because that's embarrassing.
I should not be a Democrat.
Yeah.
Why not?
Because you're a male. You should know better. Especially
so
somebody who
all
has self-control and raised
so-
decent
so
kids, supposedly.
I'm just showing you how narrow you're, man. All Democrats are bad.
Yes. Unless they're not.
And
Unless they're not, and then they're going to stop being Democrats soon.
You got a one-track mind just like Donald Trump. All Democrats are bad.
Yeah.
But see, not all or nobody are bad.
Yes, they are.
We have good, the bad, and the ugly in every nationality that it is.
I know, but Democrat is not a nationality.
No one side knows everything.
Democrat.
See, you're a Republican. You think you know everything, but you don't know nothing. You're dumb as dumb dope.
Democrat is anti-nationalism.
No, they're not.
Yeah, they are.
No, they're not.
Should we have borders?
You have what?
Should we have borders?
Should you have borders? We already have a border.
Should we have them?
Yeah, ain't nothing wrong with a border.
Then how come you're agreeing with the Democrats? They don't think we should have borders.
Democrats don't mind the border. We just don't think we should be. They just don't think you should be building another border.
Whatever.
They don't think you should be putting up another wall because that's not solving the problem. The problem is that the American white people are bringing them through the gate, not over the wall. The people coming over the wall don't have nothing in their hands.
Hey, William.
And they're being hired by companies right here that's making them a killing. They're making all kind of money.
Right.
So why aren't you arresting those people? Why aren't you
We're doing that too.
Republicans arresting those people? No, you're not.
Yes,
you ain't
Trump
never
is doing
arrested
that.
Nobody.
Yeah, yes.
Hey, there was 600 of them arrested down in a chicken plant down in Mississippi.
Nice.
They went down there and they arrested 600 illegal immigrants.
Nice.
And the guy that ran the plant got no time, no citation, no nothing.
That's fine. William.
That's your problem right there.
Hey, William.
That's your problem.
No, it's not. No, it's not. William.
Oh, yeah, really. Yeah.
Lin Yen Chin says he can't stop rambling, which means you have low self-control.
No, I don't have no low self-control. I just don't believe in a lot of lies.
Okay. Well, then you shouldn't have voted for Biden. Anyway,
that's
we'll talk again, man. Nice talking with you.
Okay, I'll talk to you, Jake. When Biden takes the seat, I'll call you back, and I'll see have you came out of your delusion.
Or if Trump wins, you can call me back and apologize, and I will accept your apology.
Trump have already lost. He can't win.
No, he might win. He might win. Who knows, right? And Trump does the impossible. So you can call me back and apologize. Will you apologize if Trump wins?
If you win, if Trump wins, I will call you back and apologize.
I believe that. Thanks, man.
I will call you back and apologize. Because, I mean, whoever wins, that's who wins.
Right. Thank you.
You know, but you Republicans just can't grasp that.
But don't you know that blacks don't mind cheating? And then they'll cry racism when you get caught. Not you, but they.
Don't cheat. And you telling me
whites cheat too. They're called Democrats. And rhinos.
Whites don't cheat?
Yeah, they're called Democrats.
Really?
Democrat doesn't just mean black, you know.
That what?
I said Democrat doesn't just mean black, you know. The electorate.
Well, that's the way you look at it.
Well, I mean, I had a friend who is liberal.
Democrat, when they said Democrat, you think it's just black. Well, what about the Republicans that voted against Trump? He lost
They're
because
Democrats.
the Republican voted against him.
They're Democrats.
What was that?
They're Democrats in sheep's clothing.
No.
Yeah,
They voted for him in 16. They voted for him in 16, but they dropped him this time because they got tired of his lies and bullshit. They got tired of it.
Okay. I know you're old and in your mind it's fine to say that, but this is a children's show. We don't say SHI blank.
This is
Anyway,
reality. This is
we'll
reality,
talk again,
Jake.
man. Nice talking with you. Take care.
All right, Jake.
All right. Oh, man. Tinybot or Tinobot gave a diamond and said, I don't even want to repeat this. But he said, what's extensive and difficult on a black man? A job application. I don't know. Cut out the welfare and the excess unemployment, and they'll work. I think it's in all of us, right, to work. So quickly, in the last few minutes here of this first hour, President Trump tweeted, "I'm not fighting for me. I'm fighting for the 74 million people, not including the many Trump ballots that were tossed, a record for a sitting president, who voted for me." And I told you in Hake News toward the end of hour 2 of the Jesse Lee Peterson show today that even a pollster guy, and pollsters are intellectuals or kind of blind, admitted, he's the director of the Democracy Institute, this Patrick Basham guy, who wrote this article in spectator.us, that there's all kinds of stuff that's deeply puzzling, is his word for it, regarding the election. Trump received more votes than any previous incumbent seeking re-election, 11 million more votes than in 2016. The third largest rise in support ever for an incumbent. Performed far better among many key demographic groups. 95% of Republicans voted for him. So that guy talking about, oh, they voted for him in 2016, but didn't this time around, 5%? Which is that's a huge percentage that voted for him of the Republicans. He earned the highest share of all minority votes for Republicans since 1960. Black voters increased 50% over 2016. Joe Biden got under 90% of the black vote. Under 90%. 96% of blacks voted for Obama twice. Something like 95, 96%. And people thought that I was making that up. One of the dumb, I call him dumb, but he's not that dumb. But he is a Democrat, so I guess he is dumb. And a Bernie supporter. One of my friends thought that I was just making that up. And then I had to link to him. Yes, indeed, 96% voted for Obama twice. Under 90% voted for Joe Biden. It's pathetic that much of blacks, that percentage of blacks who do vote for Joe Biden. But is that, or vote for Democrats in general, but is that legitimate? I wonder. You know, like I pointed out to William, many times blacks do cheat. They do cheat too, you know? And they may cheat disproportionately more than any other demographic and be shameless about it. They're encouraged to. There's a whole lot of people that, by any means necessary, they're communists in many cases. Blacks. Did you know that? It's so weird to think of blacks being communists, but many of them are. And they cheat. And then they cry racism when you catch them. Or when you say, hey, wait a minute. Oh, Detroit is 80% black. You're a racist. That's why you're trying to target it. But there are other, and he's right, whites cheat too. They help them. They help them cheat. And I saw this Tariq Nasheed tweet saying that, they're showing black people cheating. They're showing blacks being the face of this. And it's quite possible and quite suspicious that Democrats finessed this election, meaning cheated. Meaning lied, deceived, cheated. And he said, they're using blacks as the fall people. Well, I say they're willing participants. Yep, it's crazy. I'll share more of this information about the strange things that are deeply puzzling regarding this election from this pollster person named Patrick Basham of the Democracy Institute. We're not a democracy, but whatever. After this break, very brief break, guys, I will be right back for the rest of hour 2. I'm going to be touching on that. I'm going to be congratulating the great warrior, Jake Paul. And right on to Mike Tyson for crediting Jake Paul, who's like a funny white guy on YouTube. I'll touch on this anti-Semitism, fear-mongering, and stuff with regard to the killing of an Iranian nuclear scientist, prominent Iranian nuclear scientist, and the mainstream media and Trump and all that stuff. So hang tight, guys. I will be right back for the rest of hour 2. That's Earl the Squirrel. What's up, everybody? Hey, so far you're getting your wish, Mr. The first person I mentioned at the beginning of this stream, who said, please no Earl today. Please no Earl. So, Fundamental Bear gave a diamond and said, shout out to the Bears supporting Hake. Fun stream today. Thank you. Yes, shout out to the Bears. Those are the guys who, they're fans of what? That Big Bear guy who's been to the, he was at the last men's conference that we've had. We didn't have one this year, but we had one a year and a half ago about. Owen Benjamin. It was a nice speech, too. So let me just show you a few ballots that are just kind of interesting. You know, I told you guys about this mass mail-in ballots on Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, because I was talking with someone about this. There's this man who tweeted about the ballot shenanigans, Matthew J. Peterson, and he called it surprising news about ballots being rejected. And he actually has a whole Twitter thread. I linked to it, and I will put it on my blog post, a link to it on my blog post for today's show, thehakereport.com/blog. This is Monday's show, November 30th. With absentee ballots flooding election offices nationwide, the officials processing them, this is from a mainstream media outlet, I don't know which one offhand, tentatively reporting some surprising news. The share of ballots being rejected because of flawed signatures and other errors appears lower, sometimes much lower than in the past. And you know what else? There are way more, or were way more, so-called absentee mail-in ballots flooding these offices. In years past, something like 3% in some states were being rejected. 3% of these mail-in ballots. But it was like 0.3% that were rejected this time around. Isn't that odd? Fraud. Shenanigans, right? The more dumb people who don't really pay attention to what they're don't really follow instructions properly, who are they going to vote for? Democrats. Lazy, trifling people. For one thing, this quote goes on, some states have rolled back confusing requirements. Minnesota no longer requires that absentee ballots be witnessed. You know, you had to have a witness signature, acceding to a court ruling that the mandate was not justified during a pandemic. Meddling liberal judges. Jurisdictions are now very sensitive to the reasons for disqualifying absentee ballots, said this one Dr. Pursley. When they were processing very few of them, those reasons might not have appeared significant. But now that there's so many more, those can swing elections. Shenanigans, huh? Strange. Very strange. Loosen the rules about when ballots are disqualified. From NBC, that other one that I was reading about the ballots, that was from the New York Slimes. New York Slimes. Also known as the New York Times. He talks about if a state fails to submit a winner by December 14th, the decision about its electoral votes goes to Congress. Interesting. So they were in a hurry after all, huh? The high disqualification rate for absentee ballots posed a special peril for Democrats. This is from New York Slimes. This guy is linking Matthew J. Peterson on Twitter. Interesting Twitter thread with screenshots and highlighting sections of these articles, right? Signature matching laws need to be reformed to protect voters, they said. 4 pillars to safeguard vote outlined in the Democrats' approach. And when you get rid of signature matching requirements, how are you supposed to detect voter fraud? You're not. And you're going to have more idiots voting. Make it easier for more idiots to vote. That's why they would bus in blacks, remember? Bus them in and give them fried chicken. They literally did that, right? Am I right? That's what I understand. Community organizations should be permitted to help collect and deliver voted, sealed ballots. Because in general, you're not supposed to, that's called ballot stuffing. You're not supposed to ballot stuff. You're only supposed to have like 3 ballots max. One person can carry up to 3 ballots. At least that's like one of the requirements that I heard about, at least in one state. Because they're trying to protect against voter fraud when these people are trying to chop up these requirements and get rid of them. An ABC News analyst of the last two election cycles, 2016 and 2018, found that more than 750,000 mail-in ballots were rejected, about 1.2% of the total ballots returned, mainly for not having valid signatures and being sent in on time. But not in 2020? And Matthew J. Peterson also tweets, make no mistake, article after article revealed how worried they were, but they loosened things according to best practices. Some states are also taking a less strict approach. This is from 538, which is that's that Nate Silver guy, that pollster guy, who falsely said that Hillary was going to win and she didn't. Some states are also taking a less strict approach to signature verification. Pennsylvania, for instance, has told counties that ballots cannot be rejected based on apparent signature mismatch alone. Shenanigans. These people are evil, and they've been at this for years, to be honest. A little bit more from this Twitter thread by Kyle Becker, referencing the Patrick Basham, director of the Democracy Institute, who wrote an article in the Spectator, Spectator.us, about reasons why the 2020 presidential election is deeply puzzling, shared by Revolver News, says that bellwether states, and I heard about this, I read about this on the Epoch Times, E-P-O-C-H. Some of you guys pronounce it epoch, which is totally fine. Bellwether states. And they actually talked about bellwether counties, which is even more accurate, interestingly, for a longer time, I think. But bellwether states. Bellwether means I think it has to do with predicting the weather, and it accurately predicts the weather. Like, there's different ways they call it a bellwether. And so bellwether state means a state that votes for whichever president. Usually they end up being right. That's called a bellwether state. Meaning right in the sense that they vote for the candidate that ends up winning, right? That's what a bellwether state is. Swung further in Trump's direction than in 2016. Florida, Ohio, and Iowa each defied media's polls with huge wins for Trump because the polls were saying, oh, Trump's losing in those states. But no, he won. Since an indicator or predictor of something, according to the dictionary, right? Since 1852, the leading sheep of the flock. Interesting. Bellwether. Oh, because it has a bell? Yep. Interesting. Because it's not W-E-A-T-H-E-R, weather, but it's bellwether. I don't know my English. Bellwether. B-E-L-L-W-E-T-H-E-R. All right, so it's not necessarily predicting the weather. Anyway, since 1852, only Richard Nixon has lost the Electoral College after winning those three states, Florida, Ohio, and Iowa. Interesting, huh? 1852. Almost 70 years. Almost 170 years. Right? Midwestern states, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin always swing in the same direction as Iowa and Ohio, their regional peers. Ohio likewise swings with Florida. Current tallies show that outside of a few cities where the corruption happens, where many blacks are and Democrats, right? People who, by any means necessary, communists who don't mind cheating to win and lying and stealing and killing, which is what the Democrats do, right? The Rust Belt swung in Trump's direction outside of those few, the few cities. Yet Biden leads in Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin because of an apparent avalanche of black votes in Detroit, Philadelphia, and Milwaukee. His winning margin, Biden's so-called winning margin, was derived almost entirely from voters in those cities. Interesting, huh? And Biden's black vote only spiked in those exact cities that they needed. Actually, I think that his vote spiked in the ballot, let's call it voter fraud prone big cities. Because it's also in other other big cities that didn't end up mattering, like Texas cities and stuff like that. But Detroit, Philadelphia, and Milwaukee. His winning margin derived almost entirely from such voters in those cities. But it's interesting, it only spiked in those exact locations necessary for victory. He did not receive comparable levels of support from comparable demographic groups in comparable states, which is highly unusual for a presidential victor. Crazy, huh? Biden won more votes nationally than any presidential candidate in history, but he won a record low of 17% of counties. 17% of the counties. Crazy, huh? He only won 524 counties as opposed to 873 that Obama, like I said, supposedly won in 2008. Weird, huh? He somehow outdid Obama in total votes. And usually a winning candidate will win in the down ballot, which means Senate, Congress, other, state level politicians and all them. But Biden didn't bring other Democrats to win, to beat out Republicans for the most part. Republicans held the Senate, enjoyed a red wave in the House. They picked up seats in the House, the U.S. House of Representatives, gained a large number of seats while winning 27 toss-up contests, and also did not lose a single state legislature, made gains at the state level. Shenanigans, am I right? And also party registration trends. Republicans picked up, I think, more party registrations or comparable. Candidates' respective primary votes. Candidate enthusiasm. Was there a lot of candidate enthusiasm for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris? No, there was not. There was a whole lot of enthusiasm for President Trump. Social media followings. President Trump beating him there. Broadcast and digital media ratings. Online searches. But Earl wants to say, oh, just because he had huge rallies doesn't mean he got more votes. Give me a break. Look at all of this stuff. I told you about, I don't know if I told you about this, but I've seen journalist/activist Vincent James, who's really into statistics and numbers and stuff, and quite honest with how he crunches the numbers. Reminds me of that guy, Jared Taylor, who's also very honest, and he contracts honest people to crunch the numbers and get an accurate picture of the world. Well, he spoke many times of statistical, what they call anomalies, right? He calls them statistical impossibilities regarding the 2020 election. By the way, about The Spectator, I interviewed one guy from The Spectator, Chadwick Moore. He's a sort of a conservative guy. I think calls himself a Christian. Yeah, he's like shamelessly homosexual, but I don't know. But shout out to my former de facto producer, Dylon, making that happen. Chadwick Moore from The Spectator. Back in June, I think it was. So, all kinds of stuff coming in that makes it seem very shady. And they endlessly, the mainstream media who are, can I say this word? Poo-pooing all of this stuff. Saying, oh, that's nothing. Oh, we need to suppress all this voter fraud talk. We can't have the country be divided. Now, everybody has to fall in line with the fake president-elect. This scum of the earth, Joe Biden, who vice presided under the most divisive and evil and malicious president that we've had, Obama, who hated the country and hates the country to this day. He supported Black Lives Matter. He brought them to the White House. He supported Al Sharpton and brought him to the White House, dozens of times? Even once is too many. Validating Al Sharpton, who ever since I was a kid, I knew Al Sharpton was a joke of a person, a bad, evil joke, a liar. I remember being shocked when I found out that any black takes him seriously and respects that guy. He's a evil, liar and a joke of a person, an obvious, what they call grifter, right? Grifter. Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, all them. Including even Louis Farrakhan, by the way. So, it's crazy. They want to pretend like they are supporting what's right. They're not. You and Jesse should get a Parler account, says Tinobot. You know, I have a Parler at the Hake Report. And I believe I know that Jesse Lee Peterson has a Parler. Is it at Jesse Lee Peterson? Yeah. At Jesse Lee Peterson. Yeah, we're on Parler. I'm not very active on it. I like that it is getting more action, right? I like that. I respect what I've heard from Gab and BitChute. BitChute being an alternative video platform. In terms of their grinding and working at improving what they're doing and all that stuff. I don't know if they're going to make it. I appreciate them, though. And there are others. I think we've even started a Rumble account. And we're also on library, lbry.tv, which is also the same thing as Odyssey, odyssee.com. lbry.tv. Those are the, like, sort of sibling or parallel websites. They're owned by the same people, right? And it's decentralized, so I don't think it can be censored. Hopefully it doesn't shut down, right? Who knows? But yeah, we are on Parler. Nice, right? But of course, they write off people like Vincent James and Jared Taylor because they're white. That's the only reason, because they're white. And they accuse them of hatred, but the people who are accusing them of hatred are every bit as hateful, if not more, than either of these guys. They can't argue with these people because they're telling the truth. Very fact-based. So, let me quickly get to... Oh, hold on. Before I get to Rick and the rest of the callers, this is a super chat from Bible Go-To Guy. Bible Go-To Guy says, I've known lots of black folks who claim not to support abortion, but they always vote for politicians who support abortion and who make abortion the law of the land. So it's not what they say, it's what they do. Yeah, that's true. Even Mays claims not to support abortion, but she supports a woman's right to choose what to do with her body. How do you fall for such a silly, brazen lie of a false justification? You got to be a dumb intellectual to fall for that one. Because the baby is not her body, and her body is not her own, and she's killing the baby. It's the man's baby too, by the way. It's more the man's than hers, I dare say. And it's God's more than either of theirs. So if the man happens to be pressuring her, which I doubt is usually the case, but they claim, they try to blame the man for the abortion. It's ridiculous. Personal responsibility, anybody? But yeah, they do. Effectively, the scum of the earth. They are communists. Even the ignorant ones, who I like the ignorant ones better, right? Because they're not educated, deceptive people. Indoctrinated, deceptive, rationalizing, and just sleazy. But even the simple ones fall for this dumb communism stuff. I think that it's because of falling for a false version of, in part, right? False version of identity. Because being black is more of a religion than being a right. Anyway, thank you, Bible Go-To Guy. Appreciate it. Let me get to Rick in Hampton, Virginia. Rick, how are you doing?
What's up, James, my brother? I hope y'all had a wonderful Thanksgiving weekend.
Yes, I did. Appreciate it.
Good, man. Shoot. I'm telling you, man, I'm starting to get excited, man. I think when it's said and done with, James, I think President Trump going to pull the curtain back on a lot of stuff, man, because now they come. Now, here's the thing. They're supposed to be confiscating the voting machines. How they going to stop them, from wiping out? You know how when somebody subpoena some, evidence, and you try and cover it up by deleting stuff?
Right.
So how would they be able to stop that? You know what I mean?
It's an interesting question. It's going to be tricky and interesting to see how and whether they'll be able to find the evidence to reveal that this was indeed fraud. I think it's pretty obvious that it was, just common sense wise, but you also have to be able to prove it to the dumb intellectuals who will just rationalize anything. And there are unfortunately a whole lot of dummies in the country, and the mainstream media has been on this propaganda campaign to force everybody to accept an outcome, a false outcome before it's finished. And so I don't know. I don't know if they're going to be able to pull through. Trump has already exposed the fake news media as truly the enemy of the people, or an enemy of the people, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I appreciate President Trump.
Man, I'm telling you, man, because it was like, man, I mean, they use them, because the vote machines they use, I don't even call them vote machines, James. I call them adding machines for Joe Biden. They just add votes to him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think that's true. Yeah, you know what? These Smartmatic, they're a bunch of liberals. I saw their Twitter feed. Yep. Have you ever looked at Smartmatic's Twitter feed? It's liberal stuff. It's promoting like stars, promoting everybody vote now. You don't want everybody voting. You want the people who are sensible, responsible, conservative people to vote, who love America. Not these America-hating, Antifa-sympathizing, Black Lives Matter-supporting dumb Democrat voters to vote. You don't want them to vote because they'll vote for everybody's destruction, including their own. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right? It's amazing, man. It's amazing, man. I really hope President Trump can really pull the curtain back, man, and make it obvious. So what would happen? Let's say I give President Trump prove everything. What would they say to Biden?
Give the keys back? No, I don't know. He doesn't have the keys, actually. Kick rocks? I don't know. I really don't know what's going to happen.
Man, this is the first time that ever happened in this country. Man, I would like to know what happened. Hey, it's obvious, Joe Biden, that you cheated, man.
But it's not just. But honestly, like, the cheating doesn't come down to one person or even necessarily Joe Biden, although he is a liar and a cheater. But it's not necessarily a conspiracy as much as it's a corrupt culture of the people. The blacks are corrupt. You wind them up and let them run, and they'll do their cheating and lying and stealing for you, right? And then they'll cry, racism, racism. And everybody will, on their behalf, will cry, racism, racism, when they catch you. And same thing with the rest of these people. They're a bunch of, like, what the communists call, like, useful idiots for evil. Useful idiots. They don't have to, they'll do evil's bidding because that's who's their daddy, Yeah,
it's killing me when the liberals give the blacks, you always hear blacks saying we oppressed. I say, look, speak for yourself. Give me an example of how y'all oppressed. Give me one example.
I know.
They can't never give you no example, and they'll just go by what they hear on the media.
Right.
I say, okay, how you oppressed? You can work, you can make all the money you can make. You ain't taxed to the point that you ain't got nothing, but y'all keep supporting the Democratic Party. They're gonna tax y'all till y'all don't have nothing left.
I know. Yeah.
And y'all can go where y'all want to go at. It's foolishness, man. I want somebody to tell me a good example how blacks are oppressed. I said the only person I can tell what blacks may be suffering for is sin oppression.
Yes, I agree with that.
They suffer from that. But other than that, talk about they can't enjoy life. I don't believe that.
I know. I agree with that. In fact, they're spoiled is more of the problem.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't get it. We're oppressed. I'm not oppressed. I'm going by. I mean, you can do anything you want. You can have a business if you want, but a lot of blacks don't have money. They want to go and borrow $100,000 with no collateral. Just talk about they gonna borrow the money in Jesus' name. that ain't gonna work.
Right. Yeah. It's
know,
wild,
no
man.
collateral is amazing, man. When they gonna go to the Supreme Court too, there, James?
We'll see what happens. I'm not familiar with how court stuff works. I know that the lower court judges, most of whom are corrupt, will keep rejecting stuff, and that will lead them as they appeal up to the Supreme Court. I've been told, or I've seen on Twitter, that Jenna Ellis lady, who, like I say, I'm not the biggest fan of, but I like that she's supporting Trump. She's one of the lawyers for the Trump team, legal team. She said something like, the fake people will say, oh, Trump has lost 36 court cases. 36 court cases have gotten dropped or kicked out, right? But in reality, that's not the case, because those lawyers aren't the ones bringing those cases. There are many people bringing court cases, right? And then just because they're tossed out doesn't mean that they're justly tossed out. Those judges are very corrupt. They're very corrupt and very politically motivated and everything. They're cowards. They're human beings, and corrupt human beings at that, like the rest of us. They're dummies, just like the people at the FBI and all that. But she says that they've, if they are human, that is. But she says that they've only have 3 cases. So isn't that interesting? I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Well, 2 of the judges that threw it out, President Trump appointed 2 of them, wasn't it?
I've heard of one of them. I wouldn't doubt that another Trump judge threw it out. But these judges, like I said, they want to avoid the appearance of looking like it looks like a conflict of interest or something. Who knows what type of weak rationalization they come up with. But I heard that Trump hasn't really even brought any cases forward yet. All those. I mean, I've heard that they've tried to stop such and such, or whatever. But I don't know which lawsuits are for what. I have not kept track. So all those people who are saying that, most of them have not kept track. They don't know what they're talking about. Those people saying, "Oh, Trump keeps on losing all these things, has cases getting thrown out." They're just repeating a dumb talking point that they heard. So
right, because I don't blame Trump. I'd be tight-lipped. I wouldn't if I ain't have to let the media know. I just give them some little kibbles and bits to satisfy their appetite.
Kibbles and bits.
But other than that, I would just I wouldn't let them see my poker hand till the day when I go to the Supreme Court and show them what we got. Because I believe if he put his evidence out too early, the media get it and manipulate it.
Very true. Yep. That's what they do.
I wouldn't let them have nothing. Yep.
That's a good point.
I wouldn't give them nothing until the day they go to the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
And
I
then
agree.
they have all the evidence, because it would be. I'm hoping it's so blunt that even the Supreme Court said, "Man, something got to be done about this."
We'll see what happens. I love that Trump is fighting. He has to. Like he said, he tweeted out that he's not just fighting for himself. He's fighting for the millions, 74 million plus people who voted for him, because that's what you should do.
You know what, right? Because you know what, too? Also, too, the Senate candidate, like in Michigan, the black Republican, he lost. I'll be in on that, too, because they probably used that same system that's why he lost.
Was that John James?
I think his name was John James. Yeah, it was a black Republican that was running against the Democrat in Michigan.
I wonder if he
was too, and he lost.
I wonder if he was wrong to concede like he did. I wonder if he's a rhino.
When you concede, do that mean that they necessarily you discover that they did cheat and you conceded? So that means it don't matter once you concede. That's how that goes.
I really don't know. I don't know. It seems like you should be able to switch things around, because we're supposed to be a non-corrupt country. We're not supposed to be Mexico. Mexico is known to be corrupt, and many African countries and a growing number of European countries, and many of our cities and states like Illinois and Chicago and Philadelphia are known to be, and Detroit are known to be corrupt. But we're not supposed to be like that. We're supposed to hold ourselves to a high standard and hold everybody in the country to a high standard. So we'll see what happens,
all
man.
These countries that are as they want to say, people of color, that
Right.
most of them got more corruption from South America, Mexico. It's like Mexico, man, they don't even have a government. It's so corrupt. If you call the police, the drug cartel tell you the police works for me.
Right. I know.
Dog, man. Like, is that corrupt?
Yeah.
So is Africa. All these nations has run to me by people of color, as they want to say. They doing bad economically. The people are starving.
Yep.
They sit up. They can't run the economy. They let people buy stuff. Don't tax them. To keep the money in the country. But the leaders see the money. But the leaders, their friends and family, they get wealthy. But the people never see the wealth or their resources.
Yeah. It's just like what's happening to the American Indians, formerly known as Indians. Rick, it's good to hear from you, man.
You too, Jay. Love you, man. Thanks for letting me talk on your show, man. But we're gonna keep the fingers crossed, man. I think President Trump has a smoking gun under his sleeve, man. So I can't wait. I can't wait. It's like a soap opera.
I know. It's fun. Appreciate it, Rick.
Yep.
Take care.
Love y'all, guys. Be good.
All right. Let me get to Zack in Oregon, who wants to talk about how corrupt is our system, or ask. Zack, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing alrighty. How about yourself?
Fine. What's up?
Okay, well, it was really hard to ask this question to Nicola Joel, whoever answered, but it was sort of like, as a kid, I always thought that because, blue states equaled Democrat, red states equaled Republican. I thought as a kid that out of all the 50 states, if you had majority states voting for you, you become the president. And then later I learned that swing states can pretty much completely screw that around. So it's just like, I guess I'm more of confused as why the adult version of this makes sense, but my kid version doesn't.
Oh.
See what I mean? I'm kind of confused where it's just like, because you learn that, like majority rules with democracy,
right.
If there's 51%, they win,
Yeah.
So it's just like, why isn't it like that? Where I see when I first counted the votes for Trump, it was 28 states were voting for Trump.
Yeah.
14 were for Biden. So it's just like Trump automatically right there in my kid mind would have won.
Yeah.
But thanks to the swing states where they're mostly shooting at, Biden's winning. So it's just like most of the United States voted for Trump, even according to every news one. So it's just like, I don't understand why that's not the ruling system, I guess. And
that's an interesting
I
point.
Talk with you about it.
I get you. So you're saying that it should go in your kid's mind, it should go by the states, whatever the states, however the states voted. 26 states chooses the winner, or 26 plus, right? Chooses the winner.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. And you know what? That's how it would be under Fareed Zakaria thing. He laid out a scenario in which President Trump could still win without doing anything by just saying, this election was too corrupt. There's too many questions. So we need to take it to either Congress or something. And
too many obvious questions
and
that people won't answer.
And only one vote per state, right? And and in Congress, we have the Republicans dominating, hopefully not rhinos, right? But probably a bunch of rhinos.
Exactly.
So,
unfortunately.
But and unfortunately, the Republicans and whites in general and men and Christians are afraid to use their physical power that they have. They're just blind
to it. Because they follow the law. Republicans are known for following the law,
right? But
they don't fully implement the law.
Yeah, they don't take advantage of it to win. Yeah. For example, and people say that he had to recuse himself. That guy who was the attorney general under President Trump, who was former senator of Alabama. I used to like him. Jeff Sessions, people still really like him. Maybe I should still like him.
I've heard the name, but I guess I haven't heard enough highlights of him lately to really care about him.
I know. Well, you don't need to anymore because he's now irrelevant. But yeah, President Trump rendered him irrelevant, even though Sessions really supported Trump early on and really support. Even to this day, I think Sessions supports President Trump. But he was in the Senate for years. Yeah, me too. He was in the Senate for years. And then he was attorney general, but he recused himself with regard to this phony Russia investigation. And then a bunch of phony people worse than him. And he's not a bad guy. He's like good on immigration, good on pot, which some people didn't like him enforcing the federal pot law. But he's like he's a decent man. He's an American patriot, but I think that he did not need to recuse himself because look at so many things that Obama did that he said even beforehand, even right before he did it, were unconstitutional. Obama said, I can't issue DACA, and then he issued DACA. And now, like, we can't even repeal it. Judges are refusing to let us repeal it, meaning President Trump. And that guy, the other attorney general under Obama, Eric Holder, called himself Obama's wingman. And that's how he acted. And he was very selective about his enforcement of the law. And he was very targeted in his persecuting and prosecuting whites and conservatives and letting the blacks and the liberals get away scot-free with crimes that they were committing and shady stuff that they were doing. So it is very corrupt.
Obama's wingman.
Yeah.
That's like I don't know how you could be proud of that title.
Right.
I really don't.
He said it on some black radio show, and
hopefully not Jesse Lee Peterson.
No, it was not the Jesse Lee Peterson show.
No, I love his show.
Yeah. So yeah, the swing states are partly swing states because they sometimes shift between Republican and Democrat because they're kind of balanced.
I understood that's why there's purple states, but I mean, like,
and then some of them have way more electoral votes.
Mostly what I was sticking with.
But they also have like way more electoral votes depending on the population. So it's kind of interesting.
Because like some states have like 16 and others have 8. And it's
right.
Just like,
or just one.
Kind of weird.
Aren't there any states that have like just 1 or 2, like Delaware or Rhode Island or something like that?
I hate to make it.
Washington D.C. has 3. What the heck?
Yeah,
that's a disgrace.
Washington D.C. and it's like the fucking capital of the United States. I'm sorry if I swear.
I was shocked when I heard that come out of your mouth. Anyway,
my uncle swears like a sailor, and it's hard to not. So I really try when I'm on your show.
I appreciate it.
Can I ask you one question? It's something I didn't ask Nick or Joel.
Go for it.
It was just I heard it earlier this morning. What was your answer for Jesse's weekly last week?
I had like 3 different answers. So I was just joking around. I really my serious answer.
They were emphasizing one, I guess, earlier this morning, and I really wanted to find out what it was.
My serious answer was I don't know.
Oh,
yeah.
Dang. I was hoping to discuss you. I was actually thinking doubt was the biggest of Christians' enemy, because if you doubt yourself or you doubt the Christian faith, you're not really a Christian. That's the worst enemy of Christianity is doubt.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's sort of like Jesse's anger issue. I didn't have a chance to call. I really wanted to talk with someone about it.
Nice.
So thank you for listening.
Yeah. Appreciate that. Yeah, I had one of my guesses was thoughts. And I laugh because because I'm just like imitating what something that Jesse always says, but I just repeat it because I've heard it so much, but not that I necessarily get it. And so it comes off as being so shallow when I said thoughts.
I mean, like, but you kind of think what you think. So, I mean, like, I love hearing other people's thoughts. And so, I mean, it's kind of like how Jesse likes hearing everyone's answer.
Yeah.
So it's just like, if you can relate to him, I kind of want to know what he thought. But at the same time, it's past. It happened,
Yeah. All right.
It happened. I'll figure out another Bible question to answer to Jesse.
Nice. Appreciate it, Zach.
Not a problem. I love calling you.
Nice.
I'm going to think of another intelligent or at least deep question for you next time I call.
Okay. Cool, man. Take care.
You too.
All right. Before I get to Maze and the rest of the callers, I am wearing my Savage Moments t-shirt. It is a picture of Jesse Lee Peterson. Who drew this, by the way? It's from the Get a Job Teespring store. This t-shirt. It's available in sweatshirt form on the Get a Job. A pullover hoodie, classic pullover hoodie, $29.99 in a hoodie, meaning a sweatshirt with a hood. Very nice. Teespring.com/stores/getajob. Get a Job is a friend of yours and mine, and friend of the Jesse Lee Peterson show. And he's put out something like 63 Jesse Lee Peterson Savage Moments. I support him on Patreon as well. And you can too. Reprobeta returns, gave a diamond and said, "Can I set up a debate with you and Anomaly regarding Trump?" Are you saying that Anomaly disagrees with me? I would be happy to participate in a debate like that about Trump. Nice. Appreciate that. Reprobeta returns. But before I get back to calls, I got to present to you a little bit. I read about this on Hake News, about the Iranian nuclear scientist who was assassinated. And we think it might have been by Mossad. We being I and some of the, let's call them the real news people on Twitter, which does not necessarily include the far left enemy of America, Associated Press, but the Associated Press tweeted on, I guess this happened Friday or so, an Iranian scientist that Israel alleged led the Islamic Republic is another word for Iran, right? Or Iran, military nuclear program before it was disbanded, allegedly. Is it really even disbanded? I don't know. Has been killed in a shootout, Iranian state television said. And I don't even know if a shootout is the right word because I only heard of shots being fired from one side. But the New York Slimes, President Donald Trump retweeted the New York Slimes. It said, "Breaking news" on November 27th. That was Friday. Iran's top nuclear scientist was fatally shot in northern Iran, state media reported. He was seen as the force behind its nuclear weapons program. And they're not supposed to have nuclear weapons. Like, we're very possessive of who gets to have nuclear weapons. And this guy was warned about by the man himself, Bibi, also known as Benjamin Netanyahu, who was Mohsin Fakhrizadeh, the assassinated father of Iran's nuclear bomb. Back in 2018, the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who is a fan of Trump, is not a fan of Obama. Some of you guys like him, some of you guys do not. But he's the Prime Minister of Israel right now. And it's a very divided country, Israel is. Like, he's like holding on to his political office for dear life, I gather. I don't know if they've had recounts, but they've had multiple different elections and reattempts at elections because they couldn't unify a government. They have to do something weird, right? But this guy, he says, he showed a picture of this guy, this scientist guy. Oh, by the way, yeah, he congratulated Biden and said, "You've been a friend of Israel for 40 years. I think he's just being classy. I don't think he's happy about it, honestly, because Biden is an Obama guy, and Obama was, he gave a lot of money, I heard, to the Iron Dome, which helped Israel, like, shoot down rockets that came in because people rocket attacked them because Israel and Palestine are fighting over land and different things like that. But he did not really appreciate and he did not like Obama's Iran nuclear deal interestingly enough. And I think that Biden would probably return to that, but whatever, who knows? I don't think Netanyahu is as solid and genuine as a man as President Trump is. But I don't know. I don't know what to think of him. Anyway, this is according to Netanyahu, this Mohsin, Mohsin, Fakhrizadeh, Fakhrizadeh, was the top Iranian nuclear scientist, the father of Iran's nuclear bomb, which it hasn't been birthed yet, hopefully, right? We don't know. But back in 2018, he was reported about, and he said, remember this name. Back in 2016, remember that name, Fakhrizadeh. And that was on April 30th of 2018. Well, now this guy's been killed. Trump also retweeted this guy, Yossi Melman, who's a journalist guy, Israeli guy. Retweeted him in Hebrew, saying Mohsin, and in English, saying Mohsin Fakhrizadeh has been assassinated in such and such place east of Tehran. According to reports in Iran, he was head of Iran's secret military program and wanted for many years by Mossad. Mossad is Israeli secret service. It's basically kind of like the Israeli CIA. Does that mean they're evil? Because the CIA is pretty evil. I don't know. Maybe they're a mixed bag. His death was a major psychological and professional blow for Iran. And then he also tweeted in Hebrew, which is translated, following denials, the Iran government officially admitted that Fakhrizadeh, a senior scientist in its nuclear program, was killed near Tehran. Official statement, the Iranian Revolutionary Guards mourn his death and promise, as in the past, revenge. He was a professor at physics. This guy was a professor of physics at Imam Hussein University, head of the secret nuclear program called Ahmad, and SPND, I don't know what that is, and brigadier general on duty. I've heard that President Trump gave blessing for the Israeli Mossad to do that. That's the speculation, right? I don't know if it's true. And I heard that Obama wouldn't do that, wouldn't let Israel do their stuff. People are calling it terrorism. People are saying it violates international law. But come on, who's making those international laws? I don't know. I'm not saying that I'm necessarily for or against this thing, but it's just kind of interesting when you look at the evil people who are against this, who hate Trump, who are talking about this stuff. Washington Compost says prominent Iranian nuclear scientist killed in an attack outside Tehran. And it's pretty crazy. I heard that it was a remote control gun. Washington Compost also tweeted about al-Baghdadi, whom President Trump killed or had killed. Al-Baghdadi being the ISIS guy. Remember that headline? Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, austere religious scholar. I'm not saying that this is necessarily has anything to do with Iran, but it has more to do with Washington Compost. Is austere religious scholar at the helm of the Islamic State, dies at 48. That's Washington Compost. They had to change their headline later. Obituaries. Being all respectful. So I don't know what happened, but they're saying, oh, it was a machine gun operated with a remote control and not with a gunman who were on the ground. The backstory, a little bit of the backstory is mildly interesting. I don't know if this is true, but this is what a guy who's reporting on what the Iran media is saying. According to a report, Fakhrizadeh and his wife were on their way to spend the weekend at their house in a Tehran suburb. That's a suburb of the capital of Iran. 3 security cars with them. At a certain point, the leading car left the motorcade to do a preliminary security check of the house. Right after the car at the front of the motorcade left, shots were fired on Fakhrizadeh's car, and it stopped. He stepped out of the car thinking his car hit an object on the road, and there was a problem with the engine. At that point, shots were fired again from a Nissan pickup truck, which was stopped 150 meters from Fakhrizadeh's car. 150 meters, that's quite a ways away. Dang. 150 meters? Yikes. And you can kill somebody from that far away? I mean, people kill from half a mile, or can they kill from 3 miles away? I don't know. You guys know better than I do. But he was hit by 3 bullets. One hit him in the spine. Nissan pickup truck exploded in what looks like a self-destruct mechanism. Yeah, I'm talking about snipers. Oh yeah, drones too, bombs. All kinds of stuff. The assassination operation lasted only 3 minutes and was all done by remote control with no gunmen on the ground, according to one guy named Barak Ravid, and he's citing Fars News. Fars is short for Farsi, which is what the Iranians speak. Who knows? Don't know what really happened, but that's what they're saying. By the way, quickly, I gotta get this in. Warrior! Jake Paul, baby. Am I right? Jake Paul destroys. This is funny. Nate Robinson, former NBA player. Basketball American. Black. He's black. And I respect this Nate Robinson guy because he's 36 years old, retired NBA player, right? He's retired, I think. And he fought versus a 23-year-old young built whippersnapper Jake Paul, who's a YouTube star. Jake Paul, like, people hate him. And I don't know if it's warranted or not. I mean, you shouldn't hate, right? And what's funny in this picture, I'm showing a picture on the screen. There's a, it's super, you see the poor black dude on the ground, just out cold. It was a harsh, just rocked him. I mean, he knocked him down once, and then he knocked him down again, and you could just tell that he was out. He just went face down. It was pretty rough to look at, and I'm not going to show it to you. But I do have linked to a couple of videos of it on Twitter from Barstool Sports and some other guy. But superimposed over the video of Jake Paul, the white guy, standing over the black dude just out cold, is Jake Paul's big brother, who I heard he was a wrestler, a state-level wrestler, Logan Paul. And Logan Paul is funny because Logan Paul is shown in this picture, but he's just superimposed, right? It's photoshopped. It's a collage. Logan Paul is wearing the outfit that he was wearing to Suicide Forest in Japan. Is that what he wore? He looked so goofy, wearing like a weird Toy Story alien type hat thing and silly rainbow colors. Like, these are silly guys, right? Very child-friendly, kind of. Like, when he cusses, like, it has a rubber ducky squeaky sound instead of the cuss word sometimes, most of the time. Logan Paul, he's another YouTuber guy. But it's interesting because he caught all kinds of flack when he went into the Suicide Forest. So, but it's funny because I didn't know that there was a suicide forest, and I hear that there were more suicides in maybe a city in Japan or something like that in like a month than 10 months of COVID killed people in Japan. Japan, I think, being emasculated, which is what has happened to them and kind of given to evil, they really self-destruct, and it's a shame. There's a whole lot of people committing suicide. Whites, Indians, Indian adolescents, American Indians. It's a mess. And so right on to Logan Paul for shining a light on that. But he caught a bunch of flack and he apologized. He's kissed up to the blacks, believing in racism and stuff. But anyway, back to Jake Paul, right on. 23 years old, born Jacob Joseph Paul. And respect to Nate Robinson, born Nathaniel Cornelius Robinson. Nice American name. Appreciate it. He might be into the black thing, I don't know. Mike Tyson, who's reportedly a humble guy, credited Jake Paul, this young 23-year-old man, for bringing interest back to boxing because he says UFC was kicking our behinds. Beat Roy LaVesta Jones Jr. Roy Jones said, "Oh, I don't want to draw. I wear draws." But he kind of talked out of both sides of his mouth, admitting that he did indeed not beat Mike Tyson. Tyson being 54 years old or something, and pretty fit, and Roy Jones. These are boxers. Boxing is when you punch each other, right? Anyway, right on to them. Some black guy tweeted about getting his gun. Hopefully that was just a joke. Anyway, so just congratulations are in order. Jake Paul and hopefully Nate Robinson maintained his dignity even in losing. Oh, congratulations. We're opening up the treasure chest right now. And and it is late, and we gotta end the show. I'm sorry, Maze. I guess I falsely promised you that I would get to you, but we'll have to get to you tomorrow. Appreciate it. She wants to answer to Rick about black oppression. Appreciate it, Maze. We'll talk hopefully tomorrow. Stay healthy. And guys, thehakereport.com for my stuff. JesseLeePeterson.com for Jesse Lee Peterson's stuff. RebuildingTheMan.com/church for church stuff. Men's Forum this Thursday, first Thursday of the month, 7 p.m. at Bond in Los Angeles. Appreciate the support, guys. Take care.